Welcome to a new episode of Unequal Opinions, where we will discuss. It doesn't. I don't think it hits the same. It does. It's not the same as all sorts of sports. You know.
Nah, I figured it out.
No, there you go. You'll get it. You'll get it. But yeah, welcome to a new episode. We're here to discuss Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, sequel to a movie that came out 6 years ago. Now I want to say 6 years ago, which is wild to think about. I think it would have been 5 years if it weren't for the pandemic, but still, that's still a long time. But yeah, so Doctor Strange 2, Sam Raimi directed this one, had a runtime of about 2 hours and 6 minutes. If you're not familiar with Sam Raimi, he obviously directed the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, and those I think were very well received, except for the third one, of course. And we're here to talk about how we felt about Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I think K-Dot's seen it twice. I've only seen it once. James, have you seen it twice? Once. Okay. I've only seen it once as well. But I'll let K-Dot kick it off because he's seen it twice, and I think he said he like confirmed some things. Like, or you like after seeing it twice. So tell me, like, how did you feel about it?
All right, so everybody knows you click on this video, we're in spoiler territory. So I guess we won't explain necessarily plot too much as just getting into what it is we thought about it, right? Yeah. So first time around, I was in South Carolina, went to some Cinemark theater. I will give it credit. The seats were massaging and they reclined all the way, which is pretty fucking legit. But the sound also turned off at a particular point in the movie, so it was kind of like rent. So the dude next to me, so it's like I'm in a theater, probably a grand total of 7 people, including myself. White dude that was standing next to, that was sitting a few down from me. He was having the most fun I've ever seen a man by himself have fun in a movie theater, which was kind of infectious. Like, he was laughing and he's talking back to his, like, older white guy. And I'm like, I don't mind this guy. Like, you're fine. And when the sound went off, he fucking hopped up. Yes, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Ran off. And the sound came back like as soon as he got off his chair. I felt bad for him. I was like, man, I should run him down. Whatever. All right, fine. The first time I watched it, right after I got out of the theater, Keem wanted me to text him what it is my thoughts were. And I texted the group, and then Keem texted me outside of the group and was like, what were your thoughts? And my initial thought was, wow, that was enjoyable. And yet I feel a little hollow inside. I feel like there's something missing. I feel like it was a little bit of a disappointment, but I really liked it, but it's disappointing. And I've been searching those feelings. And I was searching those feelings. So when I came back to DC, I went with my boy Brendan, and we went and we saw it again. And it kind of confirmed exactly what I thought, which is that I had such high expectations for this movie and what it was that it was going to cover. And what it is that it was going to, it felt as though Multiverse of Madness sounded like it was going to be this big benchmark for everything that we've been seeing so far in phase 4, right? Like the title alone. You see everything that we've built up from now as far as all the MCU shows. WandaVision looked like it was going to come to a head with this. Loki and what it is they were doing as far as the multiverse and with Kang looked like it was going to come to a head in this. After we're seeing No Way Home and how big of a spectacle No Way Home was leading up to this, it just felt as though, holy shit, they're bringing Sam Raimi back. They got Michael Waldron, who was writing on Loki until they pulled him from Loki to write this. But he's also known as a good writer for Rick and Morty. And I've been on firm saying that I think Rick and Morty have handled multiversal things better than probably any other property. I've yet to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, even though it is high on my list of priorities to go watch. It just felt as though it was all coming to a head here. But once I realized and went to watch it the second time without the expectations, kind of knowing what was coming, I enjoyed it so much more. I really, 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 really liked it when it was this self-contained sort of thing. Do I have some issues with it? Absolutely. And I think we'll get into more details, but being its own standalone sort of thing, just fitting within the MCU, and especially looking at things that have also come out in phase 4, I have a few questions as far as where it fits in within the entire frame of the MCU, but I think a lot of that has to do with the COVID reshoots, Scott Derrickson leaving the film. This was supposed to come out before WandaVision and before No Way Home. Knowing those two things alone says, holy shit, what did they have to change story-wise, right? So there's a lot of those things where it's like I'm a little worried about where it is that fits within the whole MCU. But as far as the movie itself, the Sam Raimi-ness of it, the fact that there were legit good jump scares in it, the fact that there were some disturbing images, but in that horror comedy realm. I know a lot of people talk about Sam Raimi when it comes to the Spider-Man movies, of course, and this being a superhero movie, but I'm much more of a Sam Raimi Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Drag Me to Hell, even The Quick and the Dead. Like, that's my guy, and I love his style of movie, and I just like that they let him cook in that universe for a while with this. It was really, really fun to me.
Okay. James?
I mean, I stayed away from all spoilers. As you guys know, I'm the resident non-comic book reader.
Movie watcher.
Yeah, so I just watch the movies as they come along, like starting with Iron Man. So like I'm in it, but I'm just not, I don't have the background that you two have, right? So I didn't have many expectations because like Doctor Strange is like Doctor Strange. Like I don't necessarily care that much about that character just in general, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I do have issues with the movie, like some plot holes, big ass plot holes. I mean, as I talk to more people, other plot holes come up, and I don't like what they did with the Illuminati, but that just is what it is. But for what I was expecting, which is nothing really, like I really enjoyed it. My experience was marred by the people we were sitting next to. I had to take my wife, so cool is what it is. Like she wanted to go, and
did you hear how his voice got progressively lower?
Did,
like,
brother.
He's
lower and lower. It's gonna keep getting lower.
So was it an argument or a silent ride home?
No. So we sat down, and there was like this like young lady or this lady next to us. And she was like, like we weren't in the front row, we were in the middle, but they had like the little break that you can walk into. So they put rails there. Mm-hmm. I was at the Hoffman. And then like, so this lady had her legs up, like on the rail, but like, it was like kind of veering into my wife's personal space. Right. And I'm like, the fuck is going on here? So like, I'm getting heated. Like in the movie, I'm trying to enjoy the movie, but I'm getting heated. So like I'm seeing like the Illuminati, I'm like, yo, why is your foot right there? Like if you don't say something, I'm gonna say something. And then like the lady was coughing like every 2 minutes. Like the theater's packed. You had seven people, K-Dot. I had at least 75 to 100 people in there.
Not my experience.
Yeah. So like, and like the whole fucking theater's quiet, but this motherfucker here is just coughing. I'm like, yo, out of all the seats in this damn theater, why the fuck are you sitting right next to us? Like, get your ass up and go over there, like somewhere. So at the end of the movie, we leave. I'm like, Huli, why you ain't say nothing? Like, the fuck? Like, and she was like telling me like to chill out the whole time. I was like, why you ain't say nothing? She's like, because I was a grandma. And I was like, oh shit. I felt bad.
James in a grumpy ass mood.
I was about to yell at the grandma, bro. I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I hope you enjoyed the movie. Peace and blessings to you.
Peace and blessings to you. My experience wasn't that. It was kind of, I guess I'd say in between you guys. I went to like more of a hood location to watch the movie. And so like I went at 5:30 on Thursday, the day it dropped. And then so I'm thinking like, okay, the theater's not too packed. It'll be nice. It'll be cool, chill vibes. I get like, I'm in the back in the row nearest to the last row. And I'm chilling, I'm like, I'm ready, man. I didn't get any snacks or anything. I peed before the movie started. I'm hyped. I'm ready. Like, let's go. Like, I'm ready to see Wolverine come through. I'm ready to see Deadpool, all that. And so I'm as the movie starts, it's like, cool. And then like, as it like gets going, the black people behind me start getting loud and they start doing that stereotypical thing. And I'm like, yo, y'all gotta relax. Like, y'all gotta relax. Like, it was a point where I think, all right. So when the this the shit that had me laughing, like, in turn. I enjoyed this part of it, or this aspect of it. So when, obviously this is a little spoiler, it's not really a real spoiler, but when what's her name? When Rachel McAdams' character gets married, she gets married to a black guy. The black people lost their minds. They was like, yeah, you better, yes, girl, yes. And then I was like, all right, G, like, this is what we doing. That's
Matt Early. That's Matt Early in the runtime to be getting that.
Yeah, I was like, all right, but you could tell they weren't like, they just had kind of like James, like they just watched the movies, because like when the Illuminati came, now like they were like, who is that and who is this? I was like, y'all know this? And so I like, so y'all don't even know what the fuck y'all talk about. But they talked a little, not like throughout the entire movie, but in some of the big spots, and it was funny. It got annoying a couple times, but that first initial reaction to like seeing the black husband was hilarious for me. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. I agree with Kate. I told him this already, but like, I appreciate Marvel for letting a director make a movie. This didn't feel as formulaic and as cookie cutter as most Marvel films do, in the sense that this is just an action comedy. It's action, joke, and that's it. This is a different style, in the same vein that like Winter Soldier isn't a typical Marvel movie. This is definitely much more of a horror, and it's it's good, but it fell flat for me. And it's not for the same reasons that it fell flat for K-Dot. So like K-Dot is talking about expectations. I did have expectations, but I also like, it wasn't about necessarily the expectations. It was about the execution of it, right? So for example, I really hated, hate is a strong word. I really didn't mess with the Guitar Hero fight scene. Like, I thought that shit was stupid as hell. I did not fuck with that.
The Danny Elfman music fight is amazing.
I did not like it at all.
Why?
I thought it should have been. I don't know. It to me was like, it wasn't bad, but if it was like, this is cool, but this is weird, but like this isn't doing it for me. Like, this isn't like, I personally would have preferred Scott to direct this movie. I like Raimi, but not enough to appreciate his style. Like, I love The Quick and the Dead, actually. I'm not a big of a fan into horror films, so I haven't seen some of his other stuff, but I love The Quick and the Dead. I do love that movie. And Spider-Man 1 and 2 are great. But yeah, and some of his shots were really good, but I also feel like I watched a 2005 like souped up version of Spider-Man 2. That's what I feel like. I watched, like, it's a mid 2000s, like, this is good for back then.
I have a question.
That's it. But like, it wasn't bad though. It just some of those moments that I feel like should have been bigger. And one of the bigger things that stood out to me was Scarlet Witch is too good of a character and a villain for characters to not have, I'd say I didn't feel the presence. It wasn't as palpable as a Thanos or some of the other like great villains. Like, it wasn't as physical it's not like, she should have been terrifying. And like, I see the light or the mild Carrie comparison, but it wasn't even that. Like, Carrie was fucking and fucking scary as shit. Like, I've seen that movie, seen Carrie too. Like, I get that what they were going for with that, but it just, she wasn't as fearsome as I feel like she should have been. It was always also more, it was the things that I have gripes with. They were like, oh, they're right here, we need to take it to here, but it's right here, but it's not down here. So it's like, it's good somewhere in the middle.
I like this movie a lot more than I thought I did.
But all in all, I gave it like a 7.2 out of 10. That would be my
question.
What's up?
So the Guitar Hero scene, right?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers, Guitar Hero.
Shut up. Listen.
Is that gonna stick? That's not
yes, it is. So. It is. So
it's fucking
the question I have is like, so was that anywhere in the comics? Was that something that we were expecting at some point? Is that something that's happened before or no?
Not to my knowledge.
Not that
they were trying.
It was like some pointless shit that they put in the movie.
Whoa!
It wasn't pointless. It wasn't pointless.
That's kind of harsh.
What somebody said that I didn't even realize this, which I appreciated it more after them saying this, but Doctor Strange in the first movie, like they kind of highlight his love for music. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I think that's what they were doing with that, like kind of showing that both of them really like music or whatever in that moment. But it just wasn't as impactful to me. It wasn't. And again, it's not a bad scene, far from a bad scene, but it just didn't. It
wasn't necessary.
Supposed to do.
To me, it wasn't.
I don't. The not necessary thing is just, I think, a ridiculous thing to say in a fucking superhero movie. But the
I have more.
This is where, so like the criticism you give as far as like it not, or certain movies, you gave it credit sort of as far as like not feeling quite like other MCU movies, and I actually go as far as to say that I think this one stands apart more than maybe any other MCU movie.
Oh, it does. And I'm not saying not quite like other MCU movies. It's like these moments, or this villain isn't as impactful as a Thanos. It's not necessarily a comparison to the movie, but the ability.
I'll get to that part of it. But I think that like the vibe or the feel of the movie did not feel like some standard MCU shit.
Yeah.
Is this, to me, stands out in those like the greatest moments of the MCU. So like you talk about Winter Soldier, even though I think people nowadays saying Winter Soldier doesn't feel like an MCU movie is just some pseudo intellectual bullshit. But because it's a fucking Marvel movie. It's Captain America.
It became a Marvel movie. I think that they started to follow the Winter Soldier blueprint.
Before
that, you watch First Avenger and Thor and Iron Man, is like they wouldn't do this.
Sort of. But I mean, like how you feel about necessarily the first Iron Man being the first Iron Man, not necessarily being MCU shit, because it's like an indie movie that just had superheroes in it to a certain degree. But like when I look at like Black Panther in the sense of the way that you could see Coogler had a vision and he saw it to fruition. The way that I look at Taika Waititi in Thor Ragnarok and like his brand of humor and the way that he does things, letting Jeff Goldblum cook in all of his weirdness, felt very like, all right, this is a thing. Even Guardians of the Galaxy, which once again, that was ranked number one when we did the MCU listings for me. And one of the reasons it is because you explain to anybody what that is, they're like, I knew that I thought it was going to fail miserably because I just didn't think that anybody was going to give a fuck about the Guardians of the Galaxy. And yet it felt so different, being off-world and this and that. It just felt like I think this one actually feels the least like any other Marvel property that I could imagine, and not counting the Disney Plus shows, which I think have really started getting into like their own bag. Moon Knight feels like its own separate thing. WandaVision up until the end feels like its own separate thing. Sam Raimi in this, like, I looked at this, especially the second time around. This is the first Marvel movie that I would actually if I had kids, I might not take them to see this. It is the first time I ever had that thought process, because like there are some legitimately like I'm a horror movie nerd. So like when I first heard that Scott Derrickson was going to direct this, and then Scott Derrickson, who did the first Doctor Strange, but he's also done movies like Sinister and written for like Insidious, things like that, where you're just like, all right, he's been a part of some of the most well put together horror movies in the last, I'd say 10, 15 years. That to me was like, holy shit, all right, they're going to go there with it. But then it was almost like, all right, if they go full tilt with that in his brand of horror, I don't think it's going to fit quite well. Sam Raimi has the ability to do that horror comedy bit better than maybe anybody else. Like the last horror comedy movie that you can really point to that's not Sam Raimi that sort of nails this is Cabin in the Woods, and that's 10 plus years ago. And that's point.
That's a good movie though. It's
a great movie, but see, that's the thing. Like, to get horror and comedy together right is a really hard fucking thing to do. Even some of the cult movies, like I look at Cabin in the Woods as a movie that I enjoy like a motherfucker. And that's Eli Roth before he's just started making torture porn with like Hostel and stuff. Which is like, how are you going to write this properly? Happy Death Day is another one I think does a really good job of kind of getting the lines right. But this felt very, very standalone-ish. And the thing with you were saying as far as Elizabeth Olsen or as far as Scarlet Witch, I thought they did the character justice in the sense of her being I actually think she's one of the better. If I'm looking at a Marvel villain in a single movie, I put her up against anybody in a single movie anyway. If we're talking about the dudes that'll have like Thanos is over 2 films, even if you want to count him as one. He has his own movie in the sense of what Infinity War is, or Loki, who I think is probably the best villain in the MCU. but Loki's been in so many fucking properties you can't even count him at this point. Scarlet Witch in some of those scenes in that movie, the when she's using the reflections to snatch motherfuckers out of Karmatage was fucking dope. The when she climbs through the whatever that plate, the gong thing is, and her body contorts, when she's chasing them through the like the subway system, whatever the tunnels, is fucking insane to me. And the end all be all to me with it was they finally did justice to the Scarlet Witch and Rhonda Maximoff character in one sense. No one else could stop her. She had to stop herself. And I thought that was, to me, one of the best things that they did about it. They didn't cheapen it. They didn't find some sort of MacGuffin. The only way we can stop the Scarlet Witch is if she decides to stop. And I thought that to me was like, you nailed that part of it to me when it comes to Scarlet Witch as far as being a full-fledged villain.
I agree with that part. I do agree with that part. I like that because, usually they make up some bullshit, kind of like what they did in Spider-Man with Doctor Strange and math and science. And he just got him because of science. But sure.
Oh, sure. I love science. Math is awesome. I'm gonna beat that.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange ends up looking like a little bitch by the end of No Way Home, right?
Exactly. So I do agree with you. I appreciate that they did that. For me, what you're speaking to, I think, is more so her kills, and what I'm speaking to, I feel like is more so she didn't have the bars. She wasn't written as well. She had a couple in there, but like I can recite to you Ultron bars, Thanos bars, like they have bars. Like they was talking shit. They were talking shit. Wanda,
that goes to your point, K-Dot.
What?
And Wanda started off with she started off with that, which a line that I love, which that doesn't seem fair. Like she executed that. That's perfect.
That was good. Yeah.
I thought she did an incredible job acting.
Okay,
I thought
she had a couple
really
other bars in there, but they should have. I feel like they should have beefed her character up more in that vein. They did. He did go more of the horror route, and it's fine. But you
don't think she had bars? You don't. But hold on. Like the thing. Like I'm gonna hold you to this. The line. Like once again, all these movies that we're talking about, these people had bars. We've watched these movies 20 times since they've come out, and we remember those shit, and they've been memeified to no fucking end, right? But like her saying, like her calling out Strange for his hypocrisy, or when you do it, it's you're a hero. When I do it, like there are certain aspects of me where she doesn't turn into like a villain of the week. She doesn't turn into, all right, we're gonna pop up this really big bad right now. We have history with Wanda, and I think that her dropping one-line bars like she's fucking James Spader playing Ultron doesn't necessarily serve the Wanda that we've known. To like drop these one-liners, or I'm like Josh Brolin walks in for a fucking Thanos role. We don't have a background with him. He can drop those bars, right? Killmonger can drop those bars. For Wanda to just start riffing like she's a fucking poet out of nowhere would be like, where the fuck was this Wanda from?
She was changed.
I get it, but
she did.
The dark hole just gives you bars.
She did have moments. Because like when she did the I am being reasonable. Like that was good.
Dope. That was so dope.
Like, I'm so dope. Brought it back again, and Dr. Strange's like, yeah, she's being reasonable.
When they're like, well, why didn't she do that at the beginning? That was her being reasonable. Like that to me is the Karmatage scene where she is ripping through these motherfuckers, like swishing, like it ain't no thing. It's terrifying to me. The fact that like we talk about the Illuminati, which I actually do give the Raimi, Feige, all these guys credit as far as what they did with the Illuminati. Initially, when I said my disappointment, when you see them tease the Illuminati, which is I have a lot of gripes against Disney right now with this movie more than I do with Sam Raimi or I do with Kevin Feige. But when you see Professor X's yellow fucking hover chair roll through, when you know that they're dealing with the multiverse shit, and she lays the waste. And the kills were incredible. They were incredible. But she lays the way and it continues going. Like it reminds me of all the best horror villains that stick with you, right? That no matter what you do, Jason's going to continue coming. No matter what you do, Freddy's going to keep on fucking coming. Even my favorite scene in all of Star Wars is the end of Rogue One with Vader in that hallway, where for the first time you're seeing Vader being that unstoppable force that we hear about, but you never really saw. That to me was what Wanda did, and what when I hear about the Scarlet Witch being in a Marvel property, this is what I'm thinking. Like, they nailed that part of it to me. Is that she is terrifying. That you
said that. It's interesting that you said that, because I was just thinking, like, in a comparison to like a horror movie, like how I feel about a Michael Myers or how I feel about a Jason. I didn't feel that fear from Wanda. Like, I was just like, oh, this is cool. I was literally just like, oh, that's cool.
But I think it's hard. But it's hard because it's a Marvel movie. Like, regardless of what we see in a horror thing, we know Strange isn't dying.
No,
we know this, right?
No,
but,
right. We know so that, like, but still, I should feel that. Like, I feel like that. To me, some of their best villains, Thanos. Who's the villain? What's her name? In Ragnarok, she's the goddess of death. No, but whatever her name is, she's the goddess of death, played by Kate Blanchett.
Helena.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Is it Hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
She's great. Shut up, James. She's great. Like, I felt it. Like, okay, we can't fuck with her. All right, we should not fuck with her. Now, Wanda, she did have her kills, and I was like, yo, when she killed one of my favorite characters in Marvel that hasn't like gotten his shine yet, Black Bolt, when she did the what mouth, I was like, okay. Yeah. And her entire Illuminati scene to me was probably like the best sequence of the entire movie. And I think that's problematic, because that is just more so built off of nostalgia, me being a nerd, than actual like good filmmaking. And it's like, I love that entire sequence, but it's like, okay, I just didn't feel it. And you're saying, like, I get your point, like, it's a Marvel movie, but that's my point. I'm not just rating this on a scale of just Marvel films. It's just, I like films. I like movies. I didn't feel it from her. But I felt like, okay, that's the thing. Kill these niggas, but this isn't like somebody that they're framing in a way that I fear her. And that is just a director thing. Because you're talking about the Darth Vader scene, right? When he in that Rogue One scene, I'm like, oh, fuck it, that's a badass. You watch it, you're like, that's a bad. You can the way they're framing it, the shots, the way it's set up.
I really do think you need to see this again.
For Wanda.
I really think you need to see this again. I
am going to.
I really think you need to see this again, because I really do think that the way they set Wanda up from the moment, and they do it mad early, when Strange, she hands him the bulb or whatever from the tree. And he looks at it, he's like, it almost smells real? No, sweet or whatever. And then when she fucks up, oh, you never said her name, did you? And the whole world changes. Every scene Elizabeth Olsen is in from that moment, to me, feels like a full-fledged horror movie chase. She's just giving chase. She's not being clever. She's not being, I'm going to try to trick you. Strange, deliver America, or I'm going to lay waste to everything. I'm not bullshitting. Like, this is just what, like, you either give her up or I'm coming to take her. There's no getting around this. And what does she do? She shows up she shows up hours later at sundown, ready to fucking do this shit. And no matter what it is they tried, there was nothing that was going to stop her. And I think that to me is where it stands. Like, when you're talking about when I was talking about like the Marvel movie, I think that's where, if you go into this without any history of anything Marvel, right? And just look at it without the baggage that we have as far as Marvel, when you look at it and you're not entirely sure who's going to make it out of what. I legitimately think that if you watch this movie, you think there is a chance Wanda's going to fuck everybody over.
It's never that fear for me, because I always know the main character is going to make it out.
But that's the thing. But that's for us. But I'm saying, if you walked into this, even as a Marvel, like, let's say a Marvel, like, less, like, maybe you've seen half the movies, maybe you've seen every few of them, and you come in there, you see the way the Sam Raimi's kind of shooting this stuff, you see how violent it is. When Peggy's shield is dripping with blood. Yes. There are just certain moments where I'm looking at Wanda, I'm like, all bets are kind of off right now. Like, anybody could get it. And it like, trust me, I have problems with Wanda. And I know James kind of alluded to something that me and him had talked on the phone. I do have some issues with the Wanda character, but to me, none of the issues at all was whether or not I believed that she was scary, or I believed that she couldn't fuck shit up, or I believe that her power wasn't rightly adjusted in this movie. And I actually think, as far as villains go in the MCU, her power, as far as any hero or villain in the MCU, I felt the power balance in this movie was better set than any other Marvel movie.
But and that's again where I agree with you. As far as just her literal kills, her power ability, like she had more bodies really than Thanos did in a I'm actually dangerous kind of way. Like Easily. It was like, and I think that's why they introduced the Illuminati, and to like show you like, here's her power scale. Let's show you like her actual power scale. I think that's literally the only reason they thought to bring in the Illuminati.
I also thought it was kind of a fuck you to people on Twitter.
We can't just have her killing random wizards who nobody gives a shit about. We don't know their power scale. Let's give them Black Bolt, Professor X, one of the obviously top Omega level mutant and all that good shit.
And
Let's
have him look scared as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Had Xavier looking scarier than a motherfucker.
Exactly. Right. So her power level, it's there. What I mean is, and this, I'll use that as an example, and we can get off of this and kind of talk about where we feel like it ranks within the MCU. Here's what I would compare it to, or like not compare it to. Opening scene of the Batman. The Riddler's a human being. That entire scene is scary as fuck. That entire scene is scary as fuck. When they introduced the Riddler, with him just watching from the binoculars, and that's framing, that's the director. I just don't think they did that for Scarlet in that way. There are some decent shots, like she got the blood and everything, but it's like,
that's a different vibe. That's a different vibe. Hearing the Riddler breathe all creepily.
Let me interject.
It was fucking insane.
Yeah, but it's a fucking David Fincher movie, basically. It's a little different than trying to do in a Marvel movie.
What's that? Good directing. That is good directing.
You can't do that in a Marvel movie.
Good directing.
Yeah, the Batman's not going to be on Disney Plus. You can't fucking do that.
Yeah, but you said, James, did you have any other questions?
I can talk now? Cool. Fucking bromance. All right, look, listen.
Enlighten us with Black Knight quotes, you jackass.
Oh, I was gonna go somewhere else. So I remember looking at the scene with Wanda with like blood on her face and like you went right into her eye. Yeah. That made me feel like 13 Ghosts.
Okay.
Underrated movie.
I know.
Okay.
But
I can see that.
That kind of gave me that feel. That's as far as I go. That's as far as I go with horror, because I'm never gonna pay somebody to scare me. I think that's the stupidest shit ever. So I'm not doing that. So no
other houses for James.
Yeah. So like that's where I was with that part. Other than that, another thing I took away from the movie was the fact that we were supposed to do something in regards to like the Disney Plus series, right? And what happened in this movie would determine more so where I ranked certain things, just based on, it was going to be upon like rewatchability and importance in the whole grand scheme of things. At first, I was like, yeah, this is going to knock low-key up, but it actually kind of moved it back a little bit. Not far, but just a little bit in terms of importance, because it created a plot hole for me. So you remember in Loki, right? Yeah. When at the end, once Kang died, then it's like, oh yeah, now all this shit is happening, right? But then in Doctor Strange, they were like, well, anytime you dream, that's like in a whole nother, like, so did dreaming just start or what? Like dreaming has been happening well before all this shit. So the universes had to have been around like forever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. Well, so universes were always around. Like even when the MCU started, they were always around. The thing is now is that they
can incur on each other.
Or conversing, but converging on each other.
Incursions.
Or yeah. And so like at the end when Clea shows up, who is Charlize, who good for her.
Weirdest cameo. That was not a great cameo. That was not a good cameo.
She talks about incursions. That's so what Fahey says is like the Loki finale, like they set off the possibility for this in like No Way Home and all that.
And so like right when we listen, so that's there. It's not a plot hole. I actually think they've done a pretty good job explaining this part of it. I got some other issues.
Explain to me.
The TVA and what happens with Loki does not exist in any sort of plane of time that we know. It's not linear time, right? So the moment that Kang is no longer there, you're able to branch into other timelines without the TVA cutting him off, without the TVA pruning him. So if Kang is still there, when they try everything in No Way Home and there's the other Spider-Man, the TVA would have been there to knock all that shit out. But because Kang and the TVA are not there to stop it, that can now occur.
Same for Strange.
It's same thing for Strange.
Right? And so like the Loki set off all that. It made all this possible. Right? Like when you think about it, like when K-Dot mentioned earlier, like this is contained, like the Doctor Strange movie is contained. All of the episodic, like as far as like the other characters in their films, they'll be contained and they might be contained within a universe element, right? So all like the TVA at the end and Loki is like, oh shit, like incursion here or incursion here, like there, it's everywhere. It's gonna keep happening, and it's gonna be happening like in the What If series. If you look at it, there are things happening in those series that you can tell, like, oh, Loki set off all this and this and this and that and that. Right. And that's kind of like how it'll spiral into hopefully Secret Wars.
And as long as you don't look at it as like a linear timeline, it's what happens in the TVA. As long as Kang's not there, shit can happen. It doesn't matter when it happens. Shit can just now happen. When Kang was there, none of this would have been allowed to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So
like America Chavez would probably still be able to jump through the multiverse because she doesn't exist necessarily in any one universe except the one that she's in. All these multiverses still happen. They just don't occur with each other. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man still exists. He's always existed. He was never, ever supposed to meet Tobey Maguire or what's his name? Our guy.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, if it wasn't for Kang no longer being in that set.
And then the other thing that popped in my head was Ned.
All right. I got a problem with that shit. Yeah. So this is where I'm looking at these movies and I'm like, this is where I'm starting to have a little bit of an issue when I've looked upon the disappointment that I had when I did watch the first time. And I couldn't help myself to be disappointed because of how much has really been built up to this movie. But when you realize the scheduling changes and everything is when you start being like, all right, we're going to have to give them at least a little leeway if we're going to be okay with this. Because like I was going through the fucking, everything that happened on set for this movie. Scott Derrickson's supposed to be original director, right? He leaves because there's creative differences. I think he wants to go way too hardcore with the horror elements to like, hey, hold up. Feige relies on his relationship with Sam Raimi, who Feige only becomes Kevin Feige because he worked in the original Spider-Man movies with Sam Raimi. He begs Sam, who hasn't done a movie in like a decade, hey, dude, can you please come and do this movie with us? He says, okay. Raimi then hops on. They pull Michael Waldron off the fucking Loki set. Be like, you're no longer writing for Loki, buddy. You got to write for this thing now. Then the pandemic hits. When the pandemic hits, this movie's supposed to come out before WandaVision and it's supposed to come out before No Way Home. They can't do either as they're continuing to try to rewrite and reshoot and do all this other kind of shit just to get the movie off the ground. Disney won't let them wait. Sony has the rights to say when Spider-Man is going to be greenlit to go. They're not waiting, and Sony's waiting to do whatever they possibly can do to fuck this up. I will never watch the movie Morbius. If you care about yourself, you shouldn't watch the fucking movie Morbius.
I want to try.
Don't. I don't know why. Why the fuck would you do that?
I'll watch Venom 2, but I won't watch Morbius.
Do not fucking watch Morbius. That just make no goddamn sense. Sony's going to do everything they can to fuck this up. Sony's going to do everything they possibly can to fuck this up. Which is even what they're doing. Huh?
Why?
They can't get out of their own way.
They're incompetent.
Same thing with Disney. Disney so to a certain degree right now. Disney to a certain degree. So when we're talking about Ned in the sling ring, right?
Yeah.
This is because that's supposed to be America Chavez in No Way Home opening up portals to the other multiverses, which makes so much more sense.
She was supposed to appear in No Way Home and not Multiverse of Madness.
Right. Which makes so much more sense.
Then who would be in Multiverse of Madness? How would that movie go?
Well, here's the thing with Multiverse of Madness is Multiverse of Madness, you can tell at least from what Scott Derrickson was saying, and at least what it looked like in the initial stuff with Sam Raimi, Wanda was supposed to be more of an ally than ever a villain. And it also fits better when it comes to what her arc would look like going into WandaVision. That's my issue with it, is that what happened with Wanda's overall arc. It's weird now.
I think and I'm sorry for cutting you off, Kato. I think what they did was skip ahead, basically. But you like WandaVision was still gonna go how it went.
Here's the timeline.
But it wasn't going to be Multiverse of Madness after.
Endgame is supposed to be in 2023. WandaVision is supposed to be 3 weeks after Endgame, so still in 2023.
Yep.
No Way Home is supposed to take place around fall and Christmas of 2024.
I think Sony be fucking up the years, though.
All of these are confirmed.
And then we have so far in the future.
But then we have Doctor Strange, which basically takes place in 2025.
Fam.
So we're talking about a year after WandaVision? Where the fuck is Agatha? Where the fuck is Vision? Clint and Wanda Maximoff have had this relationship that they've been building ever since they first showed up in the movies. You remember Clint always understood Wanda, right? Like he had that bond with him.
Yeah, but this is
where the fuck is Clint? Why hasn't he gone to visit Wanda and talked to her about what happened in Westview, which happened a full year or two before the fucking movie starts?
This is ridiculous.
Like, that's where I'm looking at the overall MCU right now. I'm like, COVID and the production studios are fucking shit up right now. And it's getting a little hard to kind of put everything and make sense of it. I thought they did a great job explaining what happened with Loki. Phenomenal job explaining what it is that happened in Loki and what its effects are on the rest of the universe. That feels contained. Feels good. I feel good about that. But the story of Wanda and what her arc is, and the fact that they kind of turned her into a villain because I don't think they had a good alternative. And also because like her arc in WandaVision, can I really look to see that she learned anything? I understand the catch-all is, well, she had the, what's the name of the book? The Darkhold?
The Darkhold.
So that corrupted her, blah, blah, blah. But then I also look at this scene where Xavier goes to try to rescue her in her own mind. And I see an innocent, what looks like Wanda trapped under the rubble. I'm still not sure if that was the Scarlet Witch just trying to lay a trap. If there is an innocent Wanda somewhere trapped inside that's being led by the Scarlet Witch, what the fuck is going on there? I don't know.
No, but I thought so that was when she was dreamwalking from another universe, right? And so she was trying to he was trying to give that Wanda back control of her own body.
Right.
So there wasn't, so it's not like there was a, the good
Wanda okay, gotcha. Got it. I cleared that up. So it's the Wanda from that universe trying to get her to Thank you. That actually answers something. That answers something good for me. That's also just the look, Marvel has had a couple times in the past where they have kind of struggled to adequately talk about women and treat women in a certain way. And I'm not going to go hard on pain on this, but there's earlier, I think it's in Age of Ultron where Natasha talks to Clint or somebody and says, "You're not the only one that's a monster." And she says that because she can't have kids. And it's like, if you can't have kids, you're a monster. Then you have Wanda right now, who's just a binary figure. She either Wanda with kids and she's happy, or Wanda without kids is a fucking psycho bitch. Like, what? There's no in between. Like,
but she is all powerful.
I get it, but I'm just saying, like, all right, guys, I don't think anybody did this on purpose. I don't think it's like, oh, hashtag we don't care about women. But you could be a little more thoughtful. And I just think that when it comes to this movie, it feels as though I love it for all the reasons that Sam Raimi kind of shone through on that, but we've already established I'm a Sam Raimi head. I fucking love Sam Raimi. I love Evil Dead. I love look, if you don't even like horror movies, Evil Dead and Army of Darkness are just worth fucking watching. You like Quick and the Dead? They're worth watching. They're just fun fucking movies. I've seen Army of Darkness maybe more than any other fucking movie, especially as a kid. It's just fucking fun. The zoom cuts and the way the camera's shown this, that, and the other, and it's like, oh god, then there's chainsaws and all. It's just fucking crazy.
You watching horror movies as a kid?
I had HBO ever since I was born. There was no limits to what it is I could watch. All right, I never had sense. Right, but there's certain elements of this movie where almost feels as though they just had to get it out, and that's the only thing that I feel like it's a little bit of a disservice. It just felt like they had to get it out. I think for a movie that they just had to get it out, they executed amazingly, especially when compared to a lot of the other stuff that's come out in Phase 4. I'd actually say, I mean, we're going to get in the rankings, but this is up there for Phase 4 for me. But it just feels as though Disney pumped the fucking brakes. Feige's already on saying he wishes they didn't show as much as they did in the trailers. And I agree with them. The Illuminati reveal in the trailers was a bad thing for this movie.
They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have. I think that changes the way I watch the movie. I'll probably enjoy the movie a lot more if I didn't see the Illuminati, because to me, like, the trailer is supposed to be just a teaser. Like if you tease me like the Illuminati, then I expect to get 3 or 4 different versions of different characters or whatever. If you don't tease the Illuminati and I just hear that there are rumors of an Illuminati and then you don't confirm it, I look at this different. I'm like, oh, is there going to be Illuminati? The expectation rises once you tease the Illuminati.
That's how I saw the movie, because I didn't hear shit about shit, and then I see Charles. I'm like, oh shit! So I'm sitting in the movie excited as hell, having a good ass time.
Did you know who John Krasinski was at that point when you saw? Did you know who he was playing?
Yeah, bitch.
Don't do me like that.
You saw the smile. Like that. I saw the smile, bro. I saw the smile. I saw where that was coming from. That was not coming from a place.
I'm looking at you like a remedial movie watcher.
Like, did you see where the fuck that came from?
I look at you as a remedial movie watcher. I'm not getting around that.
Remedial motherfucker.
Remedial movie watcher.
I'm just what?
Okay, bitch.
Okay.
Okay. All right, look. If I had to give this movie a rank, like, because you said it was a 7.2. What did you give a score?
7.2.
7.2 for me.
Both of you 7.2.
Nah, I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah, I'm closer to 8. I'm really. Here's the.
Oh, you agree with the fucking remedial watcher?
Given what you just said. So given what you just said about him being a remedial movie watcher,
and you agree with me,
8.1. 8.1. Well, here's what I do know. As a remedial movie watcher, you can't look at my score and say it has anything to do with his. All right? It has nothing to do with it. He chose a number. My number's coming because of what it is I actually feel about the movie.
Puta madre.
Hey, James, what's Black Knight?
Better than you, bitch.
All right.
It's a Marvel character, actually.
Yeah. I can't wait for his mind to be blown when that fucking happens and Martin Lawrence shows up.
Hey, he gonna come in.
I saw it already, motherfucker. I watched the Eternals.
Wait, what's the name of the character? McNulty? Not the McNulty we all know.
They made Black Knight white.
See, here's the thing.
They recast Martin Lawrence character.
Look, Keem. So like the shit that I know about that he doesn't know much about, I don't like ridicule him about it.
What? Hold on. What do you know a lot about that I don't know other than accounting?
You know shit about soccer? You know shit about F1?
Oh, I know shit about F1. You can't fuck me F1.
Oh.
Accounting, no. Soccer, right. I don't respect.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
All right. Dude, I'm just fucking.
You just see my point. You see my point. You see my point.
Here's the thing. James calls me on the phone day before yesterday, and I did appreciate it because I was going through it. And he called me to be a good friend.
We ain't gotta talk about that.
Well, I am talking about this. He called me to be a good friend, but then he's like, "Hey, I want to run these takes by you before we go on the pod." I'm like, "I don't want to because I want to bash you on the pod." He's like,
"Oh yeah, no, it's fine."
I'm just saying that this is what I like to do. I like to bash you on the fucking pod.
Fair.
Like this movie, I do think what's gonna on rewatch to me when I got rid of the expectations, I kind of knew what was coming. Unlike a lot of movies, made it that much better of an experience for me. And I really do think when I'm looking at rewatchability, I'm gonna rewatch this fucking movie a lot. There is a lot of solid fucking scenes. And as far as like, if it's on TV, well, you know, TNT fucking loves doing that shit like 2 years from now. It's gonna be on every goddamn Friday and Saturday, right? Where it's like, if it's on, this is gonna be one of those movies like, oh shit, Wanda's about to hit Karmatage. I'm gonna sit through this one. I'm gonna sit through this part. Or oh holy shit, this is back. I'm gonna sit through this part too.
Nah.
There are so many little moments. There are a lot of little moments that are just really, really.
Let me ask you this question: what Marvel movie right now, at this point, do you do that for?
As far as rewatch, like there's a lot of movies that I turn on in the background. The Guardians I throw on the background a lot. The Avengers movie, Endgame and Infinity War get thrown on a lot.
Yes.
Not the first Avengers movie. That hardly ever gets thrown on for some reason, even though I like it.
I play Ultron more than that one.
Agreed, and I don't like Ultron as much as I like the first one, but it gets a lot more play from me than the first one does.
I like Ultron more.
Ragnarok, I rewatch quite often because it's on TV a lot, and it's a really easy movie to just pick up and watch like 20 minutes of. Black Panther, in the immediate aftermath, I watched a lot of it. I don't watch it as much anymore, but maybe I just haven't visited in a while.
I don't think they're going to show it like that, though.
They show it.
I'm talking about like
this one,
Doctor Strange. I don't think they're going to show it.
I think they're going to show this because of Sam Raimi. They're going to show
Endgame and Infinity War.
I think they're going to show this one heavy.
With the deaths too included?
It's PG-13. I mean, that's the thing. They'll just have one of those hard bumpers beforehand to saying warning your kids. But I just this movie, I'm telling you, from a rewatchability standpoint, I don't remember going to a Marvel movie back to back. And you know, we're all people that like to go watch these movies more than once. Like I know I definitely do.
Yeah.
I will say right now, like even No Way Home, to be completely honest, No Way Home's home rewatch has not been as good as I thought it was going to be.
I didn't think it was gonna be good at first, so I did it twice. I rewatched it twice.
What did
first
you
time
thought?
I was like, oh,
see,
fell off. I was like, it's even worse. But the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, I appreciate this a little bit more now. And that was after I watched Doctor Strange, and so I was like, I appreciate this a little bit more.
But now you're feeling it.
I didn't mention in my review earlier. I think that they do. And I'll ask you this before I say it. Do you feel like they've given Benedict Cumberbatch like a lot to work with?
In terms of what?
Emoting.
This is a point that I was going to make, and maybe this fits exactly what you're saying. Don't cut me off from being too long-winded. This felt like they were giving the MCU reins over to Strange, and it felt more like the comic book Strange we've ever seen before. And I actually think Benedict is the now linchpin in the MCU, and I feel really good about it. I think that they gave him more to work with as far as what Doctor Strange, that character's doing in this movie than they ever had before, where he's kind of been the straight man, the stoic dude, or taking things entirely too seriously. He's cracking jokes. He understands what's happening. It's like, I always felt as though Iron Man kind of had that Doctor Strange energy to a certain degree, as far as the way that Tony Stark used to act. And now that he's out of the picture, I feel as though they're really letting Benedict and Strange cook. And I'm excited about it.
What I was going to say is I feel like just from an emotional, just an acting perspective, they don't give him a lot in terms of emoting, like showing actual emotion, right? I feel like as an actor, they like, for this movie, they let him be a few different characters and different versions of himself. And like, that was like some form of like, hey, you're an actor, you're a great actor, go out and be great and do this, show them this way. Right. But as if you look at like you think about literally, all right, example, Tom Holland's character, Spider-Man has been through a lot, cries, like he's been heartbroken, he's been hurt. It hasn't been the same in terms of, they haven't given Doctor Strange a lot to emote. Like you're saying, I
disagree. I think this movie changed it.
I don't feel like that.
This movie,
I don't think he's good at it, like showing his emotions.
Well, you don't watch enough Benedict Cumberbatch. You say shit like that.
I'm talking about Doctor Strange as a character.
No, but here's the thing. When he talks about his sister in this movie, you see it on his fucking face. You see it on his face. When you see him in the interactions he has with Christine, it's subtle, but you see it. He's fucking acting his ass off. I still think Elizabeth Olsen does the best job in this movie as far as acting goes. It was kind of her tour de force as far as things went. But I also think people are underrating, from a voice acting standpoint, I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was a cut above the rest in What If. Like, way above the rest in What If.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
But I really do think that if you're watching this movie, and maybe it's on rewatch, and maybe I'm missing something, but I definitely noticed the second time around, there's emotional weight that he's carrying through this. And there's a bit of like, he doesn't want you to see what it is he's feeling at any given point in time. And even what he tries to do as far as being sort of brave for America in certain aspects of this movie, I think he's doing a damn good job. I think he's doing a really, really good job.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't think, I do give weight to what you're saying, because I seen that. I think I really liked when he was talking to Christine and he's like, I love you in every universe. Like,
come on, man.
That was nice. I was like, damam, that's cold.
Like,
that's cold. Hey, tell your girl, hey, go home to your
But even
girl.
At the end, Christine, I'm sorry, I can't come because there'd be one hell of an excursion we would do. It's like, oh, she's talking about fucking. It's like, it's just,
I did like, this is another side. I like the fact they let him dirty Mac at the wedding. I thought that was hilarious. Like Dirty Mackin' at the wedding.
Yeah,
At the wedding.
There's a subtle moment.
I mean, it's not like the dude could do anything to him.
No,
like,
the dude is enamored with him.
You ain't
There's
that man.
There's a moment on the balcony where you can see
the black man. That's crazy.
I don't know, maybe I didn't see it. Maybe it's a figment of my imagination, but I could have sworn I saw it on the balcony before he goes off and fights Octopus. He gives this look back like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I kind of know what I'm doing. It's her wedding. I know what I'm doing. It's just kind of, and I'm just, there are little subtle moments where I'm like, I really like what Benedict's doing in this movie. I really do. It's the best version of Doctor Strange we've seen. It's really Doctor Strange from the comics, man.
It is that.
I fucking love me some Rachel McAdams. I love Rachel McAdams.
I love her too. I loved her in True Detective season 2. I feel like that's I get why it's an unappreciated season because, you know, it wasn't as good as it should have been, like plot wise and stuff like that. But like Colin Farrell and Rachel McAdams in that season, even Taylor, I forget his name, but he was great. Kid from Friday Night
Vince Vaughn in that,
and Vince Vaughn was cool. He was cool. He wasn't bad. He wasn't bad.
He wasn't bad. He was just like, it was low.
He could have got somebody different.
Yeah, maybe. You know what? I actually Adam Sandler. I want to say Adam Sandler.
But yeah, so I'm with you on that. But I just want to start off by saying like where I feel like it ranks in the MCU for me now. Just again, it's first watch. My fucking list will change in a year. I'm 1,000% sure. But it's not top 10, but it's in that top 15 range. So it's like to me. And we can get into this just a little bit if you want, but because you already hinted toward it. Shang-Chi is better than Multiverse of Madness, but I'm a big fan of Shang-Chi. I know you don't like it like that, but Shang-Chi is probably my favorite Marvel release.
How many times have you watched Shang-Chi?
Like 4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah. It's when you're talking about background. So I watched.
Yeah, I was wondering rewatchability. It's not as rewatchable for me.
As soon as it hit Disney Plus, I watched it again. I was like, oh, I still like this. Watch it again. Still like, and then I've thrown it on in the background a couple times.
Aquafina was good the first time through.
I hate Aquafina.
I didn't love her the second time.
I don't
hate her.
I love Crazy Rich Asians is one of my favorite movies.
I hate what black people hate about her. That's like I agree with the hate that she gets.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Relax.
Are y'all a fan of the movie Crazy Rich Asians?
But I've
seen it.
Love that movie. That's
a
another
great
background
fucking movie.
For me.
It's a great movie.
Great movie.
But anytime I see her, I just like.
It's just she Kevin Hart's it up to me. It's like Kevin Hart in the movie. Yeah. I'm cool with the first time. The second round, it's like you just calm the fuck down. You just take it down to level.
It's take off the voice.
Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop 2. He's too loud.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
The best one. That's the best one.
It's not the best one. It's not the best one.
It's not the third one.
The third one's a dog shit. There's only one good Beverly Hills Cop movie. The second one's
The
fun.
first two are good.
No, hold up. The second one's fun. Don't get me wrong.
The second one has Mike from Breaking Bad.
Mike. It doesn't give a fuck. The second one's probably more fun than the first one. It is not a better movie. And what they needed to fucking do was just have a goddamn what's the Taggart and Dogwood need their own goddamn TV series. It's bullshit they didn't get it because I would have watched it all day. And why the fuck didn't they bring Taggart and Dogwood to Detroit? That would have been a great movie. All right,
that should have been the third one. Yeah.
No, Eddie wanted to have a fucking spy movie because Metro didn't work out. Goddamn cocksucker. Sorry.
But yeah, so it's in that 10 to 15 range for me. I'd have to I'm not gonna set it up entirely. But it's in that 10 to 15 range for me. James, what about you?
I will put it right outside the top 10. So maybe 12. Around there.
Okay.
Top 12.
I know it's in your top 3.
It's not. It's not. But I did have a long conversation with a friend, the nerdiest friend I know. My brother, love him to death. It is his number one. And I talked about it. I was like, hold on, man. Just wait. I think you're being a little too much.
Just wait. Hey, just
I was
wait.
like, hold on.
Just wait.
Dude, you should see the paragraphs he wrote me. And I'm like, you thought this through? I can't argue. I get it. And I understood. This is in the top 8 to me. In my top, so I'll tell you the 2 that it just hopped over is Black Panther and Winter Soldier for me.
Yuck.
So I have it right behind Endgame.
Nasty work.
Nasty work.
I have it right behind Endgame, Doctor Strange, and No Way Home. No Way Home, without question, the best movie in Phase 4. Even though it has its issues, it's still most of it. Look, No Way Home.
Because we agree on that aspect, but we just have.
I'm telling you right now, when you said that list's going to change, it's going to change for me. This movie is going to get higher in that list. The same way the Doctor Strange for me, the first Doctor Strange is still higher than this one. I think there's a chance I'm going to like this one more than I like the original Doctor Strange. I think that it'll change over time. The No Way Home, the more I watch No Way Home, the more it starts bothering me. Ned with the sling ring and how much they made Doctor Strange look like a little bitch. Dude, all it took was one moment to say, hey, Peter, shut the fuck up. Can we talk about what it is that the spell's going to be? And it would have been taken care of, right? Like, there are a lot of issues with No Way Home. Huh?
He kind of said that.
What?
Said, Peter, shut up. Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Stop doing the spell, jackass. Like, just stop.
I don't think he could.
That's bullshit.
He could have.
He did. He did
he's
to
like,
restart
I can't
it.
stop because I started.
No, it's bullshit. He did stop and then restarted the whole fucking process. So there are a lot of issues with No Way Home. But I think what No Way Home did was felt big. And what it did as far as tying up the emotional weight that we had with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the baggage we have with Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, for it all to come together and feel good, I think it's being overestimated in where it is that it actually is. Still, there's a recency bias to that movie. And I think when the dust completely settles 5 years from now, we're not going to think of it in the same light, especially when Sony gets the opportunity to fuck it up even more, fuck up the legacy of it even more than it already is. Because look, even the after credit scene with Venom, the fuck, guys, the fuck. There's a lot of issues with No Way Home, and if I'm looking at it from an issue standpoint, I think this new Doctor Strange actually makes Doctor Strange seem like a much more coherent character. It makes me know that America Chavez being in No Way Home would have made that movie 10 times better. Not 10 times better, but it made it better. I don't know. I think it's going to get higher up on that list. I really do, for all of us. Okay. And the music fight was incredible. Anybody says different is a fucking asshole.
Oh, I'm a fucking asshole. Cool.
How are you gonna disrespect Danny Elfman like that, man? He's a fucking legend.
I'm a fucking asshole. That's hilarious. Okay.
Danny fucking Elfman. The score is incredible, and you've never, ever, ever seen something like that before. You gotta give credit for originality. You've never seen it. Credit
for originality. That's why it's not bad. It's just not good enough. It's good. It's like Jadakiss said when they beat Dipset. It's good, but it's not enough.
All right, hey, I was you said I was actually crafting something for my Instagram a few days ago. So I'm a huge music guy on my Instagram, and what I want to do is chronicle Dipset's ad libs are the greatest ad libs in the history of hip hop, and I think people need to talk about it more. Just need to put that sidebar in there.
Okay. Where do we see Doctor Strange going next? Just in terms of how does this set the tone for Phase 4? Like, what's going to happen next? He's got Clea now. Like, are we going to get? And one beef that I do have if they do this, but Mordo is supposed to be one of those villains, and we haven't seen that yet. And if I don't get him in Doctor Strange 3, I'm going to be upset. Because I don't want just him and Clea like running around going crazy. Like, I want Mordo to be like, yo. Did
you not see Mordo as kind of a in 838 kind of a 838 or 818? 838. Is it as kind of a villain? Like if left if left alone in that universe and it continues without this interference from this Doctor Strange,
Mordo's a villain. Yeah, for sure, a little bit. But I want to see him like go really go against Strange. Like, because at the post-credit scenes of the original Doctor Strange, you can tell that they're making him to be a villain. Like, he's going to be the villain, but he wasn't a villain in this movie. He needs to be the villain in the next movie.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, whatever the fuck his name is, looks really weird with dreadlocks, and it's disturbing.
But yeah. So as far as where it goes next, I'm ready for Secret Wars. I can tell they're setting it up. I think they're going to flip it on us, and it's not going to be as good as the comics were, because what I think is going to happen is we're not going to get God Doom. We're going to get God Kang. And instead of it'll be like them like fighting a bunch of Secret Wars because they have to go to different timelines to fight Kang. So I
have no fucking idea where this is headed. I I don't think I have as much faith as I used to in Feige and them. I will give them credit that I do appreciate, even when things have gone not necessarily as good, they are allowing directors to cook a bit more than you'd usually see these studios do. You don't hire Chloe Zhao to do Eternals if you're not allowing these directors to do their thing. You don't hire Sam Raimi to do these movies without allowing. You don't hire Taika Waititi for a second time unless you're going to let him cook. I just don't know how you continue to make these hires and continue to stick to what it is we need as far as an overarching MCU story. I think it's going to be a really, really hard line to follow. How is it that you're going to continue letting these artists find their own direction, but don't fuck it up? Same way I feel like Ryan Coogler, if he could do it over again, would have probably not killed Killmonger Ulysses Claw, at least one of the two.
Especially if he knew.
Right. So I think there's a portion of it that's going to be like, they need to find out that limit. I think that maybe they do a quick sort of reset, bring Jon Favreau back into the mix to show these guys how it's done to keep the mix going. But I don't know. I really don't know. And I think that what I'm doing is tempering my expectations as far as everything kind of in its connectivity, because I don't know what they're going to do with Kang. If Kang ends up being the big bad in a goddamn Ant-Man movie, I might throw this all out the window.
I don't think that's the worst version of Kang.
It can't be. It can't be. It's not the fucking Ant-Man and Wasp movie. You can't do it. I love Michael Pena. You can't do it. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm keeping faith alive because the majority of these movies have still been good, and they've at least been entertaining. And I still like the Eternals as much as it clearly wasn't as good as the other movies. I still liked it. Shang-Chi, I liked. I haven't disliked anything that they put out. There's only one movie in the MCU that I haven't seen yet. And I tried the other day, and me and the kid that I was watching, but we just turned it off. And that's Thor: The Dark World.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Morbius, whatever.
Fuck that movie. Tyrese is an FBI agent. That's all you need to know.
Oh, he's in the movie? Oh, this is going to be funny. I'm going to get drunk and watch that shit.
Oh, no. All right. I think that's where we ended.
I'm going to take a gummy. This shit going to be great.
That's where we should end it. That's like, in the pod right now, this shit going to be great. And just end it right there.
Remedial movie watcher.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay.
I had a great 13 Ghosts reference. You need me for that shit.
I appreciate you guys for talking about this, having this discussion. We'll convene again, I'm sure, when Thor: Love and Thunder comes out. And so, yeah, thank you guys for watching.
It'll be the best one in Phase 4, period.
I hope so. That's what I believe.
I don't have good hopes for that movie.
You know what? I have great hopes for that movie.
Batman is a villain.
We haven't seen the God. We haven't seen the God Butcher yet.
Wait, what movie are you talking about, Keem?
Thor: Love and Thunder. Batman is the villain.
Christian Bale's the villain.
Oh.
And guess what? They haven't spoiled him in a goddamn trailer yet.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't have any expectations for that movie.
Dude, everything in the trailer for this movie looks like we're seeing everything in the first 15 minutes, which feels great to me. Like sure. Taika Waititi is he's a monster. He's great. He's fucking great.
So, I mean, I'm gonna go see it like most of the other ones I've seen, and then just see how the fuck I feel after.